Julia, along with her three best friends from preschool, Sarah, Emma, and Lily, were beyond ecstatic about their upcoming trip to Alaska for the Labor Day weekend. Since they were all seasoned campers and hikers, they could hardly contain their excitement at the thought of going on a trip with just the girls to explore the expansive wilderness of Alaska. Joy flooded the air as they arrived at their campsite, nestled amidst towering trees and surrounded by untouched natural beauty. The friends wasted no time setting up their tents, bubbling with excitement to begin their exploration. With backpacks filled with supplies, they embarked on their first hike, following the marked trails. The crisp, cool air filled their lungs, and the vibrant colors of the Alaskan landscape captivated their eyes. Curiosity, however, gnawed at their adventurous souls and lured them away from the safer areas they were treading. Their harrowing journey steered them deep into a twisted labyrinth of thorns and shadows. With each step, the air grew heavier, as if the very forest itself was plotting against them. And then, as if beckoned by the whims of the wind that danced among the towering trees, the bold adventurers found themselves stumbling upon a concealed chasm that stretched across the land, a vast expanse spanning half a mile in width. As they stood at the foot of it, the pit stretched out before them, a gaping maw of darkness that sent shivers down their spines. Its sheer size and eerie presence made it clear that this was no ordinary hole in the ground. It was as if the pit had emerged from the very bowels of hell, a fearsome creation that defied all logic and reason. Its vast expanse was cloaked in an eerie darkness, as if the very essence of nature had conspired to conceal its origins. An eerie presence, cloaked in mystery, casting a shadow that seemed to swallow the very light around it. Yet, an unyielding sense of curiosity surged within them, urging them to push forward, to unravel the secrets hidden within the mysterious depths of this wonder. "Do you think anyone has ever ventured into this pit before?" Emma inquired while her voice was shaking. "Who knows?" Lily retorted with a grin that suggested she was up to no good. "Maybe there's hidden treasure or a secret underworld waiting for us down there," Sarah chimed in, her eyes glistening with eager anticipation as she spoke. "There's only one way to find out, and that's to try it. Let's get ready to go where no one else has gone before, shall we?" With hearts pounding in their chests, their hands trembling with anticipation, they tightly gripped their flashlights, casting a dim glow on the path that lay ahead. The frayed ropes, worn from countless journeys, were their only lifeline as they cautiously stepped onto the treacherous spiral staircase. Each step echoed through the air, a haunting reminder of the mystery that awaited them below. With a mixture of fear and curiosity, they cautiously descended, their minds consumed by the secrets that lay in the depths of the chasm. With every step, an insidious darkness hungrily devoured every trace of light, leaving nothing but an oppressive void. Guys, are we sure about this?" Julia's voice quivered with uncertainty. "Absolutely!" Emma exclaimed nervously. "We're adventurers, remember? This is what we live for." The chilling sound of their footsteps reverberated through the endless abyss, growing louder and more haunting with each step. A palpable sense of anticipation hung in the air, as if an unseen presence was silently observing their every step. As they reached the midpoint of the pit, a bone-chilling coldness encased them. The air grew thick with a haunting silence, broken only by the faint whispers that seemed to emanate from the depths below. A presence shrouded the atmosphere, stifling any breath that ventured to break free from their lips. Sinister whispers slithered out from the depths of the shadows, their haunting words echoing through the stillness. "Did anyone else hear that whisper, creeping through the darkness?" Sarah said with hesitation. "Yeah, it's just our minds playing tricks on us," Lily replied, her voice trembling as she desperately tried to conceal her mounting terror. But deep within the depths of Julia's soul, an ominous dread began to mercilessly gnaw at her. Her intuition cried out at her, warning of a nefarious presence lurking in the darkness, ready to unleash its wickedness upon them. In an instant, the silence was shattered by a shriek that echoed through the darkness. The air grew heavy with an unsettling presence, as the haunting sound was joined by sinister laughter, bellowing from the shadows, filling the darkness with an overwhelming feeling of alarm. The women cowered in fear with their sanity slipping. "What the hell was that? I'm absolutely done with this. I know. That was not my mind playing tricks on me." Emma's voice trembled. "I don't know, but I don't think we should be here anymore," Sarah said, her voice full of panic. But there was no escape, no reprieve from the relentless darkness. With quivering limbs, they pressed on, their heartbeats echoing like a haunting melody in the abyss. The staircase stretched on endlessly, a menacing path leading them deeper into the unknown. As they descended, the staircase mysteriously disappeared, vanishing into thin air, leaving no trace behind. It was as if an invisible barrier had sealed their path, trapping them in an eerie and foreboding realm. The environment grew colder and heavier as they descended further into the pit. The stench of decay and brimstone filled the air, clinging to their clothes like a sinister perfume. The walls seemed to close in around them, whispering secrets of ancient horror. "Are we still sure about this, Julia?" Sarah's voice trembled as she clutched onto Julia's arm, her eyes darting nervously around the oppressive darkness. "This place, it feels wrong." Julia offered Sarah a reassuring smile, her voice masking a hint of uncertainty. The ground beneath their feet felt slippery, as if coated in the creature's malevolence. They carefully navigated the treacherous terrain, feeling the pull of unknown forces attempting to drag them all down. But they persisted. As they stepped onto the very bottom of the pit, they all felt a stiffness that grasped them to their core. In the depths of the pit, a fire cast a haunting glow upon the center. The ground trembled beneath their feet as they approached the pit of fire. Its sinister glow flickered and danced, casting eerie shadows that seemed to writhe and contort in the darkness. The air grew thick with a bitter stench. They cautiously approached it, huddled together in sheer terror. In front of them, a nightmarish abomination peeked out from the darkness, its hideous shape contorting and writhing in a macabre ballet of shadows. Its elongated limbs, twisted and contorted, appeared to defy the laws of nature as they stretched out, clawing their way towards them. "What? What the hell is that?" Rachel's voice trembled, her eyes locked onto the abomination that loomed there. Her forehead glistened with beads of icy sweat as she recoiled with foreboding. Their eyes, once filled with warmth and familiarity, now reflected the same horror. With a quivering voice, Julia summoned the courage to confront the abomination that stood before her. "You do not scare me. If you let us go, we promise not to return," Julia declared, her voice trembling with a blend of unwavering resolve. Laughter from the creature ensued through the darkness as it stepped closer to them. As the echoes faded into the darkness, the creature walked closer towards them, its presence seething with pure evil. With a guttural growl, it pierced through the silence, causing their eardrums to tremble. Meandering and misshapen, its form completely emerged from the shadows, its eyes gleaming with a sinister hunger. Then, with a voice that reverberated from the darkest pits of damnation, it responded. "Heed my words, you wretched souls! How dare you even fathom the audacity to address me? You are nothing but weak beings, toys in the hands of fated destruction." Julia's heart pounded violently, threatening to burst through her chest as a wicked surge of adrenaline coursed through her veins. She turned to her friends, only to be met with a chilling emptiness in their eyes, as if their souls had already been devoured by this creature, and all hope was non-existent. She stood there, alongside her 3 childhood friends, her resolve dwindling as the horrifying presence was fated to break her spirit as well. The abomination mercilessly dragged them as they tried to fight, its claws digging into their soft flesh as they wailed in anguish. It rejoiced in their sobs, savoring in their vulnerability. The horrid scene unfolded before their very eyes as they found themselves mercilessly shackled to the cold, unforgiving walls. One by one, it forced them to witness the gruesome fate that awaited them, positioning them on display in front of one another. Forced to bear witness. Their eyes were held captive as they took turns watching their dear friends subjected to horrible suffering, becoming entangled in a macabre dance in front of one another. The menacing creature, its appetite insatiable, savored each morsel of their flesh, delighting in the torment it inflicted upon them, unleashing its gruesome spectacle for them to endure, revealing the constricting, blood-soaked flesh clutched within its ravenous jaw. Their anguished cries merged into a haunting chorus. Its malevolent embrace tightened around them, suffocating their souls in its wickedness. This repulsive being had no intention of swiftly ending its victims' lives. Instead, it reveled in the twisted pleasure of prolonging their suffering, ensuring a steady supply of sustenance to satisfy its gluttonous hunger. It nourished them, forcing them to consume the very flesh of their friends. Barely sufficient to quell the gnawing hunger, a mere sliver of sustenance to stave off the clutches of death. But as the weeks crawled on, one by one, the friends were consumed by this depraved creature. Without fail, the abomination would unfailingly reappear, its presence lurking in the shadows, soaking up their fear and desperation like an addict. It took pleasure in toying with their minds, pitting them against one another, sowing seeds of discord and despair. Their once unbreakable friendship was shattered, torn apart by an insidious force that twisted their bond into something malicious and filled with contempt, left with nothing but hatred for one another. The feeble connection once shared in their wretched youth was now but a faded recollection, lost in the abyss of time. Their tongues were silenced, eyes averted, as if an ominous force had severed the ties that once bound them. Every day, without fail, it feasted upon them, its insatiable hunger growing stronger with each passing week. The clock ticked unforgivingly, counting down to the dreaded hour when it would emerge from the shadows, ready to consume their very essence. They were its helpless prey, trapped in a never-ending cycle. After what felt like years, Sarah's life came to a gruesome end as she became the first victim of its vast hunger. Her scream pierced the silence, a guttural sound that echoed through the air. It had grown tired of picking at her, so it attacked her full force, ripping her abdomen apart with terrifying brutality. Hunched over her like an animal warding off other predators, it mercilessly unleashed her entrails. Everywhere, blood splattered, a hideous sight that sent shivers down their spines. A grave mist ominously clung to the air. The putrid stench of death permeated the abyss, suffocating the air with its wrath. Her limbs were forcefully torn from her fragile body, leaving behind a repugnant void where her once beating heart resided. With each step, it paraded her disemboweled remains, sinking its teeth into her meat in a ghastly display, revealing each revolting chunk to them, as if taunting them with the terror that one of them would be next. Blood oozed down its chin onto its chest. But terror did not consume the very fiber of Julia's being this time. She felt a sense of relief, as if the evil presence had finally released its grip on her soul. She longed for death, stripped of all that once brought her joy and left with nothing but a hollow void. It had snatched away every shred of purpose, leaving her a mere shell. Her wretched body lay in a state of decay, ravaged and consumed. Her arm, leg, and half of her face, including an eye, had been devoured, ingested by this monstrosity and the people she once called her friends. She found herself grotesquely disfigured, her once familiar face now a horrifying collection of rot and meat. To make matters worse, her closest friends had become her enemies. She had the most atrocious disdain for them, no longer caring for them, and with no idea why she felt this way. She couldn't even recall their names, let alone her own. In her wretchedness, begging for deliverance, she bellowed at the pitiful creature. "Hear me, you abomination! I may be trapped in this pit, but I will not be your plaything any longer. I do not fear you." Crazed laughter escaped her lips as she gazed upon the unsightly creature before her, its twisted form barely registering in the depths of her confined eyesight. With a voice dripping with contempt, she mockingly belittled its existence, reveling in the power she held over such a pitiful and insignificant being. "You cower in the shadows, a miserable thing surrounded by the putrid stench of shit." As the creature loomed over her, its bloodied fangs glistening in the dim light, she mustered the last shreds of her courage. With a voice wrought with misery, she screamed at the abomination, End it! End this torment! Take me, as you have taken everything else from me!" The creature tilted its head, its eyes glinting with a flicker of curiosity. It seemed almost entertained by her plea. With an unsettling slowness, it inched its grotesque face closer to hers, relishing in her mangled physique. Its scorching breath callously seared through her very being. "Is this what you truly desire?" it hissed, its voice a cacophony of whispers and screams. "To be consumed by the darkness?" "Yes," I screamed. "Anything is better than this agonizing existence." A wicked grin spread across the creature's face, revealing rows upon rows of razor-sharp teeth. It lunged at her, its claws tearing through the air. But just as she closed her eye, bracing herself for the end, a blinding light engulfed the room. When she opened her remaining eye, she found herself laying in an unexplored region of Alaska. The brush was thick. The moonlight, inadequate, it struggled to penetrate the dense canopy of trees. She found herself left in solitude, her disfigurement revoltingly prominent. She was sprawled on the cold, desolate ground, her eye darting frantically in search of something, anything that could grant her the release to end her own wretched existence. She longed to embrace the cold embrace of death, to sever the ties that bound her to this vile existence. But there was nothing in sight, no escape, no relief from the torment that consumed her. A descent of snow commenced, enveloping her surroundings in a pristine layer of white. She let out a laugh. The wait is almost over. The sound of her laughter echoed through the wilderness. It won't be too much longer now. She clawed her way towards an opening among the crooked trees, her gaze fixed on the dismal sky above, desperate for death's embrace. Her legs crippled and useless, her meager attempts at movement turned into an awful, torturous crawl. As the minutes passed, death's icy embrace grew tighter, drawing her closer to the end. As the snow engulfed her, she exhaled her final breath. This formerly enchanting landscape, now a graveyard, had become the final destination for her brittle corpse. The pit, cloaked in darkness, cunningly hid its wicked secret, eternally safeguarding the abominable horrors that had befallen them. Their ordeal forever remaining concealed, entombed in the bowels of that pit, never to be unearthed by the outside world.